Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd, and of course we've got photos and maybe too many today, so let's look at them all as fast as we can. All right, we've had pictures from Rocher Hill, and it's now a construction site. You see piles of trees. Well, I'm taking that picture from the high school where there's a construction site in front of us, the new high school building and is being built, and in the background across the street and up on top of the mountain, that's what you see from this distance. Of course, the zoom camera, well, it's okay, but I didn't try to adjust these photos any, just ran them the way they came. But that's prairie where a lot of beautiful flower photos have come from. Now you can see from the high school, that's more realistically what you see from there. Even that is zoomed up a little bit to see it. And that's zoomed even more, and you can see the big machine moving beautiful topsoil up there. And all that vegetation is gone, little blue stem grass, all the beautiful milkweed and liatris and all those things. Here's a site out off Weddington Road that may be also a construction site before long, depending on how it's rezoned. The city council is going to see it. Let's see, supposedly, is that the 3rd or the 7th? Anyway, the first city council meeting in July, that property, quite a few acres there of former prairie. It's been pasture. Don't know that any of it's been plowed. I'm not sure how good the native plants are, but there you can see some, one of the flowers growing right there on the edge of it. And that's at 46th Street. And it's to your north is the actual, we're looking north, and there are some of the few houses that were built on this property, and that's just one of the about 3 that are along that street on that side of 46th Avenue. And you see they have trees in the yard, and they're big yards, and there's that prairie from the other side. We're looking northeast in this picture, and I think we'll see, okay, there's out there on that open prairie, there's a hairy wild petunia. Well, there's several of those out there, but they're not plentiful as they were just before that clearing occurred on top of Rocher Hill. There's a beautiful Asclepias viridis milkweed, one of my favorites, and it's so common, but it's so common that it's being destroyed in our area. So the monarchs may find it mowed down before they start migrating north and need that foliage. There's another white wild petunia. That one's not quite as tall. And there's a view, a different angle of some of the houses on the lower part of that property or across from that property. And you can see how flat it is. It's prairie land, and it's beautiful, and it'll restore itself to native plants if it's just, you know, if they could mow it just in the winter for a while. But anyway, now we're downtown, and that's a construction site that's been, I've shown pictures of it, different stages back in the past few months. And the trees there, well, that's a trail. That's the, I guess it's called Frisco Trail in that section, looking from, well, that's from Maple looking toward Lafayette, and you can see the apartments will be on the left. Now we're looking to your left there, see the railroad and the trail from Lafayette looking toward Maple. See how few trees there are, and of course, it's deep, deep dig. I don't know what all they're going to have there. Probably a partially underground parking area and a bunch of big buildings that will surround it. There's one of the few trees left on that site. It was a big old beautiful tree at the corner of West Avenue and Lafayette. Got pictures when there was a house there. We've got pictures of that from all kinds of different angles. We've seen a few of them on the short takes. There's the street blocked off for the construction, and of course it's blocked off in three different intersections. And that's up by the church, and Baptist Church looking west, and you can see a close-up of the ground, the striation of the underground structure there, what's been filled dirt in the past and natural dirt. And let's see, that's looking toward the university. Anyway, that's just a sample of some of the construction sites that are active right now, and I hope that some of that will slow down until they catch up and complete some of these, because it's really tough to drive around town, and many parts of town, but particularly in the university area and the center of town, it's very difficult to travel right now. Till next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. See you. Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd, and this is the 28th of June 2012. It's the longest drought I can remember in the springtime of Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we've got a bunch of pictures to share. Let's see what they look like. Aha, that's the top of Rocher Hill, one of the places that I've made a lot of prairie pictures. There you can see it looking across Pinnacle Prairie, and it's up at the top of the screen back there on the hill. That's pretty high. Basically, that's the same kind of prairie as would extend across the railroad and has some of the same plants, but it's got even more and better for various reasons up there in the past. But they're all gone now, basically. This is a variegated fritillary. It's the one I showed a few months ago, or a couple of months ago, that I found its little caterpillar and let it hatch in a box, feeding it passion flower, which is what I found it on. Anyway, here's the Pinnacle Food Company plant, and this is well, first we had a wasp, and now we have another type of insect on rattlesnake master. Now these are just about as pretty as they get. I wish I could make better pictures of them, but anyhow, these plants are a very good indicator of a very high quality prairie site, both wet and slightly dry areas. And of course, this is another kind of an insect on a wild sunflower on Pinnacle Prairie. And I think we have 2 shots of that little guy. Yeah, I thought that was going to be the best one, but you know what? It would have had to have been cropped, I guess, to show the insect a lot better. But anyway, I love those sunflowers. There are lots of them on Pinnacle Prairie. Okay, here is Asclepias viridis. Some of the pictures I've shown you recently came from up on that dry hilltop of the same species, and now I'm taking pictures of this and another species, the Asclepias verticillata, and the tiny milkweed. And here is mountain mint with a moth on it. And you know, last year I was able to name this moth. This year I haven't looked them up. Don't see a lot of them so far, but I'm expecting to see a lot more out there. Anyway, it's a beautiful thing. You wouldn't guess it was a moth probably, but when it flies quite well. Anyhow, this is a flower fly, not a bee. See the big bug eyes and only 2 wings instead of 4 as on a bee. And that's a prairie coreopsis flower. It's on. Okay, this is Delphinium, one of the species. They're all, well, most of them are called larkspur anyway, the ones we have around here. And this is a milkweed plant with an unusual, I guess, fairly unusual type of a member of the ladybug family. I cannot tell you which ones are native, good and bad. Here's a nice bumblebee on a bee balm, and there's a different bumblebee on a passion flower. That's the plant that I said is a host plant for the fritillary we saw a few minutes ago. Now, this obviously is a passion flower, but if you look at it, kind of blur your eyes, it looks like it's got yellow arms sticking out, and maybe it's a praying mantis with a skirt on. And here's a Rudbeckia species that's also called a coneflower, and it had, I think, maybe the same insect we saw on a different flower. This is the berry of the Lonicera sempervirens, my favorite honeysuckle vine, because it's a native honeysuckle vine and one that we all would like to keep. So please get out when it gets a little cooler. It's too hot today. Today they say maybe a record heat for June or something. All right, till next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to have water, clean the air, pure the woods green. See ya.